Hey, how's it going? So, a lot of times we rush to get things done in the game, which sometimes ends up making things take longer than they would have otherwise, but we're all human and we all make mistakes, and it's important to laugh at those mistakes and move on rather than dwelling on what you shoulda, woulda, and coulda done in those situations. So here are 5 mistakes that I know I've made in the past, and I bet there's at least one on this list that you could relate to as well. So let's get right into it. Starting off with the first thing on the list is when you get all geared up to go on a Slayer task, and you finally get there and you start fighting the monsters, and then after a few kills you go to eat some food, and then it hits you that you brought raw food instead of cooked food. It's not quite as bad as forgetting your rock hammer because it's more difficult for other players to figure out that you forgot your food, so they probably won't laugh at you in this situation, but it's still slightly annoying to have to take that teleport of shame out. The next mistake is forgetting to pay a farmer to watch your crops. And this is annoying for one of 2 reasons. The first reason is that you straight up forgot and don't realize until your next farm run when you see that your crop died. Or the other reason, which is even worse in my opinion, is finishing your farm run and realizing that you still have 1 payment worth of fruit left in your inventory and not being sure which patch you didn't pay for. So now you have to go through all your patches all over again just to figure out which one you missed. When training skills, it's so easy to let yourself go numb to what you're doing and have your brain go on autopilot while you AFK or focus on other things. And this can happen with many different skills, whether it's fletching or smithing or crafting, and instead of making the item you meant to make, you might accidentally have your mouse move slightly over a few pixels, so you'll end up fletching arrow shafts instead of unstrung bows, or med helms instead of dart tips when smithing, or lantern lenses instead of light orbs when you're crafting. And this is especially worse when working with more expensive items like magic logs or runite bars, because not only is it a waste of GP, but in certain situations you're missing out on XP as well. And with the make all update, if you press spacebar, you'll automatically start making whatever the first item is on the list, which in most cases is not what you want to make, even though your muscle memory might have trained you otherwise. Another mistake is not leaving the Cyclops room after getting your Defender. Each Defender is a 1 out of 50 drop rate, with the exception of the Dragon Defender being 1 out of 100, so getting up to the Dragon Defender is frustrating enough, but you have to remember to leave the room after you get the next Defender. Because if you don't, then you won't be able to move on to the next tier, and you'll be killing Cyclops until you run out of tokens before realizing what happened. And the 5th mistake I'm going to go over is about the Ape Atoll tunnel from Monkey Madness. There are so many ways to mess up here, such as not bringing an antidote, not bringing a teleport, or not bringing food, or just not having enough supplies in general. It's always good to over-prepare, but it's not always the best idea to try and create shortcuts. So it's important to take your time, because trying to save 5 seconds now might cost you 5 minutes later. And probably the worst part of this tunnel is finally getting to the end and then accidentally burying the bones that you're supposed to use to make the Gree. So those were 5 mistakes that at least I've made while playing Old School that may or may not be relatable to you, but please feel free to share in the comments mistakes that you've made in the past as well, and I promise none of us will laugh at you too hard. No, but seriously, I would love to hear what kind of mistakes that you've made before. And one last thing, if you want to make some friends in the game, or have a place to chat, or lurk around other players, then don't be shy to join the Discord server for the channel, or the clan chat, which I have all the info for in the description. But I just want to thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you again tomorrow.